We know absolutely about the strength of your feeling about it, and we do apologise for the fact that you either haven't been or feel that you haven't been engaged, and that's the letter is giving that apology, because we know that we can't, it's very difficult to have a sensible, productive dialogue if any party feels actually we don't trust the others, so we know we've got to make good that. So that's the first thing we want to say. We genuinely have been working with other parents about a range of short breaks, so that's why I was getting a bit exercised about that, because I totally accept you individually have not been involved, but it doesn't mean that other parents have.
Can you provide evidence of that?
Yeah, we'll happily share with you around that.
What we really here?
Pardon?
Why aren't any of those parents here? Isn't it funny that the ones that are here, that seems I'm not a parent there. I'm just a concerned member of the public.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent of a child at Ledbury Road. However, to me, why aren't any of the parents you've communicated with here?
They may not know. It's the upshot of this. They may not know.
Well,
the situation, can I just explain? Because I haven't said anything so far.
Yeah.
We've not actually been officially informed. We found out the number 1 Ledbury Road was closing through social media. From the outside, it appears that what the council's trying to do is they're trying to push it under the carpet so it's too late for anything to be done about it. That's how it appears from the outside. So I would say these people aren't here because currently they don't know.
Just to clarify, really important this, you are saying that the council has not taken a decision to close the number 1 Ledbury Road. In conversation with Richard Beacon from Wye Valley Trust AGM last week, he agreed that it was not a decision on the part of the council to close it. However, they closed it on the advice that they received from yourself and from this council that families were happy with the provision that was being put in place to replace it. Now, I attended a meeting in December 2013 that you chaired at White Marsh Common, where myself and Christian Down both stood up and said to you, this will not work for our children for different reasons. And you assured us, and we've got the letter from November 2013 in which you also assured parents that 1 Ledbury Road would not be closing. So at what point did it become the case that in consulting with families, you were going to listen to the evidence of families who were happy to move to a foster care service, but not listen to those who have spoken to you publicly and said this will not work?
The issue is for all of us that we have a situation at the moment, which is why the CCG and Wye Valley are meeting next week, that Wye Valley have indicated that Ledbury Road can't continue in its current
So
form.
Richard Beacons didn't say that last week at the meeting, did you? You didn't say it was your choice to close Ledbury, you're not funding it no more.
Well,
that wasn't your words last week to us.
I was very clearly saying that as a provider of a service, my colleagues and I respond to the strategic change to services that commissioners wish to make, but that we advise them on. And because this has been planned for some considerable time, the change from the model of care we have at the moment in Ledbury Road to a new approach, our response to that is to indicate that the Ledbury Road service, as per current plans, is no longer viable, and as a provider we will not seek to provide it beyond the end of March 2016. Can I just say, if there is any contribution, me as Chief Executive of the organisation or my colleagues have made to either the perceived or real poor communication and engagement about this, then I'll take that on the chin. However, it's difficult sometimes to explain that provision of services and the commissioning of services are separate things that come together at times to make plans. I'm the provider of the service. Now, net of the discussion that Councillor Lester has indicated all of the agencies involved here will have, myself as the provider, Joe as the Social Care Commissioner, and the CCG as the Healthcare Commissioner, net of that discussion next week, I cannot predict the outcome of that discussion, neither can Joe, neither can Councillor Lester, neither can Alison.
And why are we not allowed an independent representative?
This is, look, my view is, Joe and Alison have their own views, but my view on this is quite clear. We need to privately share with each other what mistakes we have made and what good things we have done with regard to the planning of this process, and get through that first, and then determine.
But we already know what mistakes you've made, so what I'm saying is, why don't you allow us, I'm not necessarily saying a parent, you know, a representative who represents Ledbury Road to be there.
I have a personal view, which I haven't discussed with Joe or Alison. I have a personal view that at that meeting of officers next week, that will be inappropriate.
But I don't understand how you, as professionals who have not got children like we have got, can do a fair argument of what our children need. Just because, excuse me, just because you are all, you know, education, you know, university trained, you've not gone through personal experience with my son or with any other. So your point and your question won't be the same as our point and our questions. And I feel that that's really sad that you will not have us in to ask our opinions and our thoughts on this. I think it's awful, disgusting fact.
I think what you're hearing is what you're hearing is us saying you can't be involved. You will be involved, and that's why I wanted to meet with you, and why Richard and Alison wanted to meet with you as well.
But we will be involved because you've made the decision already, so we haven't been involved. That's my point. You've made this decision to take my son out of Ledbury Road to March next year.
Could not put it any clearer that my children are best suited for Ledbury Road.
So does
It
ours.
provides all the things they need. They're not direct
If you
payments.
take Rory out of Ledbury Road, it would be really detrimental to his health. It states clearly by your social worker.
This was-
so
yes.
the debate that we need to have between all of us is about if Wye Valley cannot continue to provide, the commissioners, both health and care commissioners, have got to work out how then we meet the needs of children like yours who need a very high degree of respite. The issue for us, and what I would particularly want from this group, you've indicated that you would like an independent observer or whoever involved. I'd like two things from you on behalf of the three organisations involved. I'd like to know, so who is that person? Are you going to identify a representative who we can engage with? We want to engage with you all individually and collectively, so we're not interested in just speaking to one person, we do one. But actually it would help, I think, all of us move on to the next steps if we could know if there is an individual or small group of people that we could liaise with. We would like to do that. I would certainly be proposing, and I'm sure this is in the minds of my colleagues as well, that when we have our get-together next week, one of the things we will want to resolve very rapidly is meeting with you or your representatives very rapidly after that, and that can be different from the meetings that we've already set up.
So will there be minutes from your meeting then to be shared with parents so that they can hear what's been said?
We'll absolutely be
So I think that's
communicating
quite
with you
fine.
because we've got to do that.
Because I think what's extremely frustrating is to be told that a service is going to be closed, and then you're asking for parents' views when a decision's been made, and then it clearly means that this is financially and money driven, not actually about the needs of these children. Those needs of the children come second, and your purse strings come first, which in the real world is happening all over the place. But you have, which is Mrs. Miles, you have no idea the impact of what you're causing. And for a son like mine, who went to Ledbury Road, that then wasn't enough, and who is in full-time care in a residential school, you're going to be forcing more families to have to not use foster care, going to be forced, and as a local authority, you're going to be needing to place these children in full-time. You're going to be forcing families are going to completely break down.
Which is absolutely why the three organisations have been really clear that, financial times are really difficult. We've all got to acknowledge that. But we're really clear that it's a false economy to cause the fact. That's not what we're trying to do. But what has been clearly signalled is that there's got to be some changes. We've all got to...
Can we do this
Can
one
I
at a
make
time?
two very short points? First thing is, you're looking at a group of people that have had to fight for their child's
care since that child was born. And that's what all of you at every committee need to take on board. The second point is one that concerns me. I've been working with autism affected children for about 9 years now. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is that with the so-called dissolution of Ledbury Road, where's the experience that those people are going to come from? You're going to bring in foster carers who have to be trained, who won't have that experience. And you're losing a tremendous asset here. It's not down purely to finance. You're losing a tremendous asset. I've had to take some of the children belonging to some of these parents to Ledbury Road who haven't wanted to go, and have gradually required 2, 3, 4 people sometimes to actually get them in there. And gradually it starts to work. And it might take 1 year, it might take 2 years for people to settle into an environment. And this is to go.
And they want to do it in 3 months.
It's not going to happen, is it?
No way. A lot of these staff are qualified learning disability nurses that takes 3 years to qualify without any experience. And those are the staff that are running a shift, and you're working with then care staff that I am not disrespecting at all, because that's where the groundwork is, but it comes from the lead. And as parents, as foster parents, as children as complex, let's say autism, because that's where my field is, you cannot get somebody to understand autism because you're learning about it all the time. Their sensory needs. There's millions and millions of things that you cannot possibly expect a family or a parent or a foster parent to pick that up. And where are you getting them all from?
And on the question of finance, I mean, it's been said Wye Valley have taken this decision because it's not currently viable in its current form for Wye Valley to continue to provide. Proposed.
Letter to change.
No. Yeah, but okay, hang on, because this is quite important. When was the last time that Wye Valley Trust received payment from the commissioners and from the council for the service it's been provided? Because
we've
without
received payment from commissioners regularly for one level.
You do, because we've heard, contrary to that, we have heard that historically, where the two bodies, what was the PCT and the council, were basically one homogenous body, not so long back before the Otago Group. But when they kind of dissolved again and became two separate entities, well, three with the CCG becoming in existence, the funding for Ledbury Road actually historically has come from Wye Valley Trust, not from the commissioners and from. Yeah. That's not true. No. Okay, so you have been paying for this service. Okay. So right, okay, hang on. So if you're paying for the service, right, in full, then there is no reason for Wye Valley to take the decision to say this is no longer viable because we're being paid for it. Therefore, we're offering a service that is commissioned. We are being paid as
in its current form.
Yeah.
We're getting payment for the service and provide the service. But the model of care, the long-term shift in that model of care means that the type of service that would be left behind, probably a poor phrase to use, at Ledbury Road, is not in its current form either clinically viable in terms of staffing or financially viable.
Okay.
Now, I do not want people to take away today the thought or the perception that the meeting between the three bodies next week will be discussing individual or collective care plans for children and their carers. Because we are not qualified to do that. You've made that clear. That's absolutely right. What we will be doing is determining the process via which we improve the consultation and the assessment of people's needs and how my organisation and the two commissioning organisations can respond to that. And as soon as there's clarity about that, you will get that clarity.
Okay, so effectively what we're talking about is if you had enough children filling all the beds every night, it would actually be more viable because yes, we're saying there are some families and there are some children for whom foster care placements will work. We recognise that. Yeah. However, we also know from talking to other parents whose children do not access the service at Ledbury Road that there are children in our community who fulfil the criteria to have a placement at Ledbury Road who are currently being denied access to it because they're not being referred there by children's services. Yep. We have met them for whom that is. There's somebody in the room. There's somebody in the room who whose child would
It's
benefit.
never even been offered to me.
There you are. Okay? There are children out there who
And
this
Tom
service...
has had a diagnosis since the day he was born, so,
Those
you know,
beds
and
could be
that's
full.
8 years old.
No,
That
really,
race
those
has been
beds
running
could be full.
smoothly, 7 nights a week, not 5 as it currently is, with a lack of flexibility that is then built in for those of us who need to change our care arrangements from time to time on an emergency basis. Why are we not using this service to its full extent, utilising those staff who are so well trained and really experienced? You've got people who've been there 30 years working there. You know, what is the point of closing this service to fund, basically what you're going to have to do in the case of my son is fund exactly the same service somewhere else. And he's not the only one. So what is the point? Why are you going down this, why collectively is it being said to us as parents, this service is really, basically say, we don't need this anymore? Well, we're all here to tell you today that it is needed, it is vital.
We were at Black Marston School the other day. Most of the children, well, the parents, never even heard of Ledbury Road. You know, and their parents were severely disabled
And when we
children.
told them about it,
Had
they
no
went,
idea it
oh,
existed.
if we'd known about that, we would have asked about it. But
For the
it's-
cynical.
Information is not being passed down to parents, not being information.
They are. So in that case,
So to run down and then go, it's not viable.
as children
What
need
we do is
to
go,
One of
have
those things,
services.
one of those things, I understand some of the people, I can't respond to 3 questions.
When we are going to have to go back into the scrutiny committee because we're also here with some other issues as well. There's obviously loads of things that you do want answers to, and we want to answer those honestly with you. So could we have all those questions that you want answered to, because that we obviously needed quite a long session with you and maybe several sessions about that, and we want to do justice to that. So that's the first thing, and the second thing is, could you amass all your contact details, because you
I think we've all emailed you personally, so I think you've got all our details already. Everyone has emailed you personally.
Right, okay, that's helpful if you have. So that's now in my inbox. That's good. And if there are a smaller group of you who are going to act as a sort of key representative point or what have you, or an individual representative, however you decide to organise it, could you let me know that, and I'll feed that into the group. And then following next week's meeting on the 28th, we will be communicating back out with you.
Can I ask a final question? I have a meeting on Friday, so obviously this won't happen before that. Can you confirm when the last child was referred to number 1 Ledbury Road?
No.
Yes.
Can
2 years ago.
Yes, you can have it. And also, can we have your copy of your independent report? Apparently you've had an independent report done. I was told by Sue Rogers, which is manager of social services, I believe, that you had an independent lady in to evaluate Ledbury Road, and she thought it was too much like an institution to keep our children there. They need a family-based home. So I'd like that.
What we can do, is, and I think that is part of addressing openly with you how we got to here, is the background to that, and share all the information to that as well. So
I have been asking since the 6th of July for that report of Sue Rogers.
Right.
You know what, one thing that surprises me, right, is that you're going to cut this place, and something like the Robert Owen School has 29 pupils and 49 staff, and the money's been chucked at it.
Could you take that up with the Secretary for State? Because
Well,
that
maybe
is
you
entirely, the council has, but that is entirely national.
But it doesn't make
not
sense,
local.
though, does it? 29 pupils, right, and then you go and shut down this school, which is, more needed. These kids got special needs with it. It's not like a normal school. They need the extra help. And then Robert Owen over there, 29 students, and 49 staff, it's ridiculous.
Government policy,
Yeah,
we give him private, but we ain't going to
Well, it's rubbish, isn't it? Because you should have a voice, you should not be allowed to say nothing.
One final point. The irony was not lost on us as a group of parents. The last Thursday in the Hereford Times, there were 2 articles relating to the council and children's services. On page 5, there was an article that ran a story about this proposed closure of Ledbury Road, and it gave our voice and it gave a long statement from the council giving your position. If you turn to page 9, there was a small article about the 3 highest paid earners, of which, Joe, you were mentioned as one of the 3. The combined income of those 3 individuals was £430,000 plus. It is really not lost on us at all the irony of the fact that the budget for short break services for our children with disability in Herefordshire per annum is £430,000. 3 people get paid the same amount as is provided by the council, provides short break respite service, Ledbury Road, buddy, everything for all of our children. Ironic? I think somebody needs to look at the figures.
I think you would be best to put that question to the leader of council, to the way that the structure of the employment and the salaries across the board for all kinds of...
Yeah, to be fair, Councillor Lester, it wasn't a question, it was simply a statement.
No, but I mean...
the 2 things were juxtaposed.
Yeah, I take the point, but I mean, if you would like to look into the employment issues and contracts and how much people are paid, then that is a big debate to be had, but that is something for the council really, not for individual members to defend. Okay.
No, that wasn't awesome.
No, I mean, or employees. So, okay. And thank you to the children. I did ask them to be quiet, so that's very kind. Thank you very much. Yeah, okay.
Shall I just have just to quickly tell you, I've been in charge of the social media side of this campaign, and just to tell you, I have been swamped by messages from families right across Herefordshire, saying I've been consulted, didn't know anything about this, absolutely desperate, you know, I've had people on the phone tears to me, that you've got to realise just how unbelievably serious this is. And this is a ticking time bomb. If you let these families down, you are going to end up with a serious crisis.
That have said what an important place it is for them and their family. You know, couldn't have managed without it.
Please look at that Facebook page. Are you actually
really pleased?
Well, you wouldn't take a leaflet from my wife last Thursday night. I don't blame you. But
I wasn't aware was this on Thursday night.
Can I just say,
Wye Valley
Fanny,
Trust
you talk about models of
well, you know that. That's interesting.
and actually in other authorities that the model of care isn't changing how Hereford is changing. That there are other authorities, especially the provision that my service, that is Cardiff, is so unbelievably recognised how Respite, their 52-week division is taken over by Respite, that they're opening up a Respite facility, and that's an hour down the road. You know, and you are going to be forcing children out of county.
That will be part of our discussion, I am absolutely sure. As is the strength of feeling and the seriousness of the situation. Being no illusion, you've articulated that well and you've articulated that good.
We hope so. And we've got a position.